with our faculty here at the college to help them transition their content online. Sometimes it's for a fully online course, sometimes it's for a hybrid course. Since we are a technical college, we do have a number of hybrid courses and programs. And so we help them transition and keep in mind best practices associated with online course development and delivery. And so obviously our team in helping faculty with this process, we were doing pretty well until everyone needed to transition at about this time last year. So didn't really have the support to be able to provide to all of those individuals. And so we were fortunate to have Gina, who's on the call, her and her team of instructional designers, be able to pause work on a different initiative that the college had going on, and they were able to work with us and work with the faculty to help us in that instructional continuity effort throughout the remainder of last year. Our college administration has decided they want to continue with the online and hybrid course offerings and really focus on quality. And so we've got an expanded scope of work, and we've got some deadlines that we need to reach. And so we really need all the help of a good group of instructional designers and technologists on our team. And then Gina's group has had to go back to their original project, and they've got an expanded scope of work. And so we need some instructional designers on her team as well. And with that gap in those individuals leaving that instructional continuity project, we need to make sure that we compensate for that support personnel on our team. So that's a little bit about online learning, and I'll let Gina tell you a little bit about her initiative and what her team is working on.
Great, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Gina. So I'm Gina-Ms, and normally I office from the Waco campus. Now, like everyone else, doing work remotely from our homes.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a team of instructional designers. We're called the Vision Team, and we work on special projects. Our current project is transitioning curriculum over to competency-based education. And last year, we were working on launching our first 2 programs for this past fall when everything got put on hold last March. And we were repurposed to assisting Gina in the Office of Online Learning in our instructional continuity efforts. And so that work continued through last fall, at which point it was decided that the team my team would need to transition back over to working on our original project, which was also expanded. And so we are launching 6 programs to competency-based education this fall. In doing so, that left a gap on the online learning team to pull our instructional designers over. And then we also have a need for our project in order for us to meet our goal for us to hire some additional help. So both online learning and the Vision Team are looking then to hire some instructional designers to assist us with meeting these goals. And so that's what brings us all here today. So Jess, would you like to introduce yourself, ma'am?
Yes, hi Robert. My name is Jessica Ibarra-Almaraz, and I am located on the Harlingen campus. I am in Instructional Technologist 3, and what my team does is we provide faculty support and some student support as well for students who are completing our mandatory orientation. With the faculty support, we do provide training, whether it be one-on-one training or by department training, just depending on the needs of that individual, of either the program or the individual that's requesting it.
Very good.
We also work closely with our instructional designers. If they have questions when they're working with their faculty in regards to the LMS, they'll reach out to us with any questions, and we try and help resolve any issues that they may be running into.
Exciting.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Yes, I started with, I was a dad and a father and a husband. I have a daughter, I have two grandbabies, and well, grandbabies, they're 17 and 13. So they're really young ladies. But I have a big gamut of experience from top to bottom, from outside work experience to inside academia, where I think a lot of folks, even professors who've been teaching for years, don't have that outside world experience like I do, and that's a benefit that I hold. I worked not only have I worked with students and I've worked with faculty, I've worked with admin and different folks in regards to setting up an LMS. We went from e-college to Desire to Learn in Brightspace 2 years ago here at the university. So I got to sit in when they came in and they were given their speeches to sell us their product. I got to help choose which one we had and help turn in some different suggestions for things that were needed in an LMS. And so I really enjoyed that experience. And not only that, that experience has also helped my dissertation, because my dissertation is almost finished. Thank you, the Lord. I'm finishing up my chapter 4 this week, and I've already got most of my chapter 5 done. So all I need is my final defense, and my category is on critical issues that faculty face when an institution adopts a new LMS. And so it fit well with what I was doing. And so I've gained a lot of experience with instructional design, educational technology. In fact, my master's is in educational technology and leadership. And so my higher ed degree, which I'm looking forward to finishing that up, it just gives me, again, of course, my undergrad was in kinesiology and sports studies, because I was a football player on scholarship back in 1980. And so I have a lot of experience working with them. I worked at Consolidated Freightways for 20 years, and I worked with a very diverse group of men and women that I was the main stacker for the outbound service end, and my job was to teach the men how to properly set up and load different freight going to different places. So my job to be successful was I had to be a good communicator, I had to be friendly, and I had to know what I was doing as a stacker for the outbound position. I also worked with, I was a foreman / carpenter assistant that I helped rebuild and renovate. No telling how many things I could explain there. But this experience I was a supervisor for an automatic door company, where I taught guys how to do doors, like if you went to Home Depot or a hospital and you see an automatic door move when you walk through. That's what I built, and I supervised people who I trained to do that job. And so there's a lot of things that I have experience-wise with people and how to communicate with them that I believe TSTC would benefit from, not only my background from the world side, but my background from academia. So that's a little bit about me. I'm sorry if I took too long, but if I do go too long, just stop me.
All right, you got it. All right, so what I wanted to do is, we have a couple of positions, right, that are posted on our website. And then I know in discussing with Tony, she probably talked to you a little bit about the different positions, and we've had some time to go through the items that you provided. And so what I wanted to do, and we commonly do this, is just go through the positions and let you and give you a little bit more information about them.
Yes, ma'am.
And that way you can kind of tell us where you see yourself fitting and what you're interested in the most. And that way we can make sure and gear our questions and our time together today in our discussion more towards that particular position.
Okay, sounds like a great plan. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So both Gina and I, within our large teams, are structuring our instructional designers. So these are for the designer positions. We're structuring them into smaller teams. And those smaller teams consist of instructional designers at levels 1, 2, and 3. And those different levels are really, or really have to do a lot with the function, or the predominant function, I should say, that individual will be responsible for. So our instructional designer ones within the team, those are the only positions that we are asking for that individual to be located near one of our TSTC campuses. And the reason for that is the predominant function for that instructional designer at that level is to be able to go onto one of the campuses and work with a faculty member, typically on capturing video content. It could also be stills, but typically video content. So they're more of a production or multimedia specialist. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we're a technical college. We have lots of classes that have a lab component or a hands-on component. So really going and helping the faculty capture that content is the predominant role, and creating some of those engaging activities. They will have some remote work they can do, post-production stuff, but really that's their predominant role. The instructional designer level 2, that's like your classic instructional designer role. So some of what you have talked about and the work that you've done with faculty. So really sitting down on a consistent basis with the faculty that are part of our different programs, building that rapport with them, talking to them about the courses within their program, really laying out and mapping out the courses, looking at the outcomes, making sure that the content that they already have, that they curate that content, make sure it aligns to the outcome, identifying any gaps in the content that needs to be created, and then really figuring out, okay, what kind of content do we need? Do we need activities? Do we need assessments? How are we going to generate that? And make sure that it aligns to the outcomes as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the instructional designer 3, their predominant function is more of a project manager. So the majority of their time, they're really going to make sure that our projects stay on track. We've got, like I mentioned earlier, and Gina mentioned as well, we've got some deadlines, and so we need to make sure that we adhere to those deadlines. And we've got 54 programs across the state. Some of them are at one TSTC location, some are at a handful, some are at all. So sometimes with that comes making sure that any roadblocks across the different campuses and within those different areas are removed, so that doesn't stop the design process or hold it up, and really help the designers work through those processes. So those are the different instructional designer roles within those instructional design teams.
Yes, ma'am.
And so in addition to that, what Jessica was talking about was our instructional technologists. And the instructional technologists, as she mentioned, they really do work hand in hand with our designers to really provide more support on the learning management system. And some of our other technologies, they provide some training on the learning management system, and really do a lot of troubleshooting with our faculty and with our designers within the LMS in case there's something that, any difficulties that are arising that we're running into. So that's just the different positions that are out there, and I wanted to kind of let you know what those are. I think we continue fitting into a couple of different areas, and I really wanted to see what you thought if we explained it a little bit, if that helps you at all. Give us an idea for you to fit.
Well, just to start off, I would love any of those jobs that you mentioned. So just know that right off the bat. Now, personally, I would love a instructional designer position. I think I would fit in really well with 2, but I'm also willing to start on a 1 just to show you that I can do the job. And if there are promotions that I could get into later after I've proved myself over time, then that would be worth it to me. I'm a team player, I'm flexible, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to show you guys that I'm serious about this position, or I don't think we would be here today as well doing this interview. But I love both sections of instructional design and educational technology. I know that's an IT position. She's talking about instructional technology. But I think they fit together. Just because you call it instructional technology doesn't mean you're not using the educational side of it as well. Because you have students, whether you utilize pedagogy or andragogy to get them, whether they're starting in the workplace or they're building skills that they're already in the workplace to improve their lives for their families. Andragogy, adults just want different things because of where they are in their lives, as opposed to students who are younger and they're still learning. A lot of them still don't know what they want yet. And so our job is to make sure we help them find that and get them to that finish line. And just learning and seeing the light bulb moment just is part of what's amazing with this job. Any kind of job in education, of course, you want to see that in your students. But particularly in these jobs, whether it's having a good relationship with faculty or administration or the different teams on both sides, that's what's very important. You want to be able to have each other's back. You want to help each other when someone is not well-versed in a certain area, whether it's on the LMS, whether it's trying to reach faculty or SME or someone who's giving you something that you need to get accomplished. If we have each other's back, you find skills that some people have that's better than you, and you can go to them because you have that relationship. You know what they do best. You probably know what they do worse as well. But that's part of being a team and a family. And so that's something that I cherish. I would love any of the jobs that you've mentioned, but like I said, I think I probably fit the ID2 the best currently because I don't have any outside experience from my adjunct job because I've been here working on my degree, getting my doctorate, and so I do have a limited scope of expertise in the education field. Now what I do, I teach E-Tech 424, and that's integrating technology into the curriculum. And so my main job is to help students learn with a variety of tools. And this semester I went to a broader scope of video formats. I use Adobe Spark, I use Hippo Video, I use Screencastify. Those are just three that I use. I think I have 5 that I use I have 8 units this semester. And so I have that. I have a lot of PowerPoint where I teach them not only how to use PowerPoint, but how to narrate in PowerPoint, how to convert PowerPoint into such that if you have a Windows, convert it to a WMV, or if you have Mac, convert it to an iMovie, and then put that in your YouTube account and make it a YouTube video so that they learn different aspects of what they can do with that format. Because people have been using PowerPoint and Excel and Word for a long time, but most people don't know the different aspects that those can do for you. And so I'm trying to give them a little background. I also teach them how to use APA, and when I do a discussion, I want them to be able to use APA 6th edition. I know it's gone up to 7th edition, but I want them to learn references and in-text citations and the importance of that, especially if you maintain a career in education. You will have to do that more and more the farther you move up. And so that's just a little bit about me telling you why I want the position that you've mentioned.
Great. I think we can go with, I think we'll work with the instructional designer 2 questions today.
Okay.
All right. Okay. You want to get...
All right. Would you like me to ask the first question, Gina? All right. So, regardless of the positions, this is pretty much the same question for all of them, right? But please share with us, what do you know about TSTC, and share a little more, if you would like, about why you're specifically interested in the Instructional Designer 2 position.
Okay. Well, what I know about TSTC, I know that your vision and your mission is to help students, whether it's young students or adults, help them achieve success in school by learning skills so that they can get through quickly and be successful in the outside job world. And so I think that's very important because you need to know how to handle andragogy, you need to know how to handle pedagogy, and you need to know why those are important when you're setting up an LMS or a course for teaching those students, whether it's construction, whether it's welding. It doesn't matter what the field is. You need to know how they learn and what's important to them so that you can make those courses be successful for them and be something of value that they learn. The reason that I love the ID2 position is that that's the epitome of who I am, because my whole time here at A&M Commerce has been learning how to design instruction for students to be successful no matter what the topic. Now, you know what my topic is, and that's where I have more experience, but that doesn't mean I don't know more about other areas of expertise in relation to what's important for students. Student outcomes are important when you're building your course, and you put there's certain things you need to have in your syllabus. There's certain things that you need to know, whether it's accessibility. You just need to know what the end results are going to be so that you can fulfill all the obligations that requires. And so as an I2, I need to be someone that an I1 or an IT can come to me and ask me for help in the area of setting up whatever it is they need for their students or for their staff members, whether it's faculty. I love communicating with faculty, getting to know them. That's just something that I do very well. And they don't look at me as someone who is too young and too wet, that they can't come comfortably to me, because they know I'm willing to. My job is to make them confident in what they don't know, because a lot of them don't have ID and IT skills when it comes to course design, and they need someone to be there with a listening ear, someone who has a good heart, and someone who will be their friend and get accomplished what they need for their course. And that's what I believe I can bring to the table.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, so if you would describe for us step by step your curriculum planning process, and tell us who and what you need to take into consideration during that process.
Well, I think what's important when you're looking at how to set up proper outcomes for something you're working on, the main thing is you learn to collaborate and you learn to communicate with who you're trying to help, first of all. So in doing that, you find out what their needs are, what kind of tools do they like. You need to know some tools in case they don't have any options to give you. So make sure you have tools at the ready. If you're not well versed in those, you need to be a good researcher, and you know how to find those tools for them and be able to not only explain what they are, but explain the value that it has for their students in their course. I believe these are important when you're designing a course. It really doesn't matter when you're designing a syllabus. Everything is important to know in relation to what I'm doing, the importance of the value it brings to who I'm teaching it or giving it to, and will that outcome help this student or person become successful, whoever you're working with. And so you need to be, I think, if you understand what adult learning theory is, what instructional technology is all about, and the theories that go along with those items, which I believe are very important, it helps you understand how to break down all these tasks that are required so that you don't get flustered yourself. So forgive me for being, I guess I'm just trying to make sure I say exactly what is needed for your question, because I'm nervous, so forgive me. But I think the most important thing in regards to your question is making sure I have a system that I can work with to make sure that what I'm doing covers all the bases. If I need to make sure it has a great return on my investment, I need to know how to do that. If it needs proper assessments, I need to know how to do that and why. If it needs me collaborating with someone so that we can be both on the same page, I need to be able to communicate that. If it needs video tools, if it needs discussion tools, I also teach my students how to design blogs and e-portfolios because I think this is something important, because the majority of my students are pre-service teachers getting ready to go into the field and teach. And so I have all kinds of different degree plans that I'm working with, but the importance of me doing these things are to help them communicate. They may need something to communicate with parents and teachers and guardians for their students, and a blog is excellent at doing that. An e-portfolio is great for housing your artifacts so that you can showcase what you've learned and how you've learned it. And so that's mainly what I know about TSTC and why I want the ID2 position.
Thank you.
Okay. If you would please provide a brief overview of your understanding of competency-based education, and how would designing for competency-based education affect your design decisions and processes?
Well, one thing that I did not do in preparing for this was study competency-based education. But what I do know is that it's something that we have here at the school as well that we just started last year. And what it is basically how a junior college takes its students through their programs, because they want to learn different competencies so that they can get out quick, whether it's an associate's degree, they want to get that certificate. Whether it's learning how to do something in the field, they want that skill taught quickly so they can get back into the workforce. And that's what I see as a competency-based education. You set up courses based on different skills that you want your students to learn so that they can get that degree or that associate's degree or certificate, just so they can get back in the workforce as quickly as possible, because you have a lot of adults coming through your school that they're here trying to take what they've already learned in their life and then put that into and add the skills that you're teaching through the competency-based education classes so that they can get out and get back in the workforce and earn more money. They can have better places to live in and be able to take care of their families even better. Or new students who are young, who have just graduated high school, and they want to learn so that they can go into the 21st century workforce and be successful, be citizens who they can make their families and their parents especially proud, I would assume, as well as their instructors. But I'm sorry I didn't do a lot to prepare for CBE, but I do know a lot about it. I'm just not as prepared as I wish I would have been.
No worries. No. There wasn't a study ahead guide for this, so no problem. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you identify instructional methods that are appropriate for the content and for the learner.
Well, I think when it comes to, for example, if you're working with instructional design theory, you want to make sure that these models that you are using to base your courses on, you want effective online training. And you want to make sure that what you present motivates and enables your learners to gain those skills that you've put in there that the student outcomes will ultimately reach. And so instructional design theory is one that I think is important. Also, I've used a lot of inquiry-based. I've used a lot of individualized instruction. These theories are very important to me and how I've taught students here at this school. And I just believe that even if you're using performance-based instruction, whether you're using project-based instruction, the main thing is you're looking at the different theories that are related to those topics, whether it's project-based, you're working on different projects. You want to make sure your students learn how to collaborate with each other. You want to be able to reach a destination or the finish line doing what is supposed to be done, learning the skills that are needed for that project. If you're doing performance-based education, a lot of your exercise science, your kinesiology majors, they need to know the importance of performance. Why is performance important in PBE? It's important because you're trying to make sure that they learn how to perform properly, safely, and be able to teach that to other folks, other kids, and learn to be able to put that into their life skills. And so no matter what area, even with competency-based, it's all about competency. It's all about learning a skill. It's all about being able to reach that student, no matter who, what age, it doesn't matter, and help them with those skills that are needed for whatever topic you're trying to cover so that they can be successful.
And the second part of this question is, what factors do you consider when you're assessing the effectiveness of instruction?
Some of the things that I like to use is every semester at the end. Now, most schools already have a built-in assessment at the end of the course, so they find out how the students like the professor and how they taught, and if they taught certain things that they were supposed to be teaching in the curriculum. One of the things that I always do is at the end of my semester, I also do what is called, I can't even remember the thing, but it has to do with what I used to know and what I know now. It's what did you know when you first got into the course based on this topic, and what have you learned since? And what it does is shows me how what they think I've taught them was worthwhile. And if there's someone who is not happy with a certain area of what I've taught, it gives me the ability to go back and reflect and improve on that subject area in my course, and so that I can upgrade what I had in there before this assessment. And I take these assessments as very important. So the importance behind assessment is not only for me to see what my students or faculty or admin got out of what I designed, but it also helps me to improve down the road what I need to improve to make it better, because we're always trying to learn new things. Technology doesn't stop for anyone. It always keeps going and growing, and so it's important for us to stay on top of these things so that we can implement things that will help our students, because students learn in so many different ways. And so when you present a course, you want to have different aspects of how students learn in that course. And so in doing so, it's good to have, using tools is not an end in what, isn't the end of all. Tools are meant to enhance curriculum and enhance the students to keep them better engaged in that course. And so that's what I like about what you asked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so perfect segue about tools and technologies. Please share what technological tools and software you have utilized in the development of curriculum, including LMSs. And if you would, please also provide us with specific examples on how you've utilized the tools in creating engaging content.
Okay. I have used quite a bit of tools in relation to what I've designed and put it into a course. I put in things from, like I mentioned a lot of these already, but I did PowerPoints, and I did a lot of discussions. And now something new that I've started doing with the discussion prompt is I've added an extra presentation aspect, such as I'll do a discussion, let's say, on copyright and fair use. And inside of that discussion, I'll have them do something in relation to putting that into a video format, let's say, for example, a hippo video. And so I not only help them research the topic and show them the importance behind that topic, but I also teach them how that they can incorporate that into a video and the importance behind having both of those. Also, another example in a discussion I use is a crap test. I teach them how to identify safe websites and how that's utilized, because as teachers, they are going to be responsible for what their students see online. And as you know, there's a lot of flaky sites out there, so that discussion not only teaches them how to observe a website when they go to it and to find one that's safe for their students to utilize, but also it gives them a criteria, or gives them an acronym of how to go in there and see what is supposed to be in a safe website. And they do the crap test in a Word doc or in a PowerPoint, some format that they're able to show me that they know how to do the crap test and make it valuable for their students. Also, I use different things related to, in course design for an LMS, you want to make sure that things are accessible, and I'm also in the club in this school for the EIR committee, which they make sure that all the things that are online are successful in relation to accessibility. And the importance behind that is you never know when students have disability of learning, and you want to make sure that they're able to learn just as well as someone who has none. I love using discussions. I use a lot of technology integrated projects where I use lesson plans, and I have them I give them a template that I want them to use so they can have files that they compile lesson plans, because they're going to be doing a lot of that, and I give them templates that are going to be something that you just can't go and find lesson plans online and just fit right into this template. It gives you makes you have to go and think about what am I doing. You put in things like their headings, and you put in things like higher order questions, and this is all related to a certain lesson plan, whether it's in physical education or whether it's in English, in an English class. You want to make sure they have something that they can put and save and use on a regular basis for compiling their lesson plans. I do things in technology integration projects, like I want them to learn how to do a presentation. And so I'll give them subject matter in relation to, it may be on cyberbullying, it may be on something related to their choice. I give them examples of what they could use, and I want them to be creative. I give them creative license to use something in relation to their topic of their degree. And so these are important, so they have these opportunities. I like to do things, and I like to find new things every semester. A lot of faculty will use the same course over and over again, and to some degree, there is some value in that, but also I find even more value in something that's new and not old hat. I think it's important to be creative, to continue. You need to continue learning as an ID or an IT. It doesn't matter. You want to keep learning and use these tools to help improve your students.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so just tell us about a project that you planned, and then it had to be changed midstream. Tell us how you organize and schedule your tasks, and then how did you adjust to the change?
Okay, I had, let me give you two examples. The first one was I had students that were having trouble embedding. I have my students do a lot of embedding in their blogs and their e-portfolios so they can learn how to embed. And embedding has to do with taking, for example, a Prezi that's on Prezi.com and put it in a blog, say blogger.com, something that you that Google owns. And so I love just about anything Google. And so what I do is I enjoy being able to help students who are struggling. I want them to try their best to figure it out. I use YouTube a lot, and that is one of the big ways that I learn new stuff. I learn old stuff. I think YouTube is a very good source for education. I even like Wikipedia to a degree. There's a lot of things that you can learn from Wikipedia. It's just not the best resource for references and saying that it's true, because anyone can edit Wikipedia. But with Prezi, I enjoy a student would email me asking for help. I would email them back asking if they would allow me to do a Zoom meeting with them, and I find out what is best for their schedule, that I could meet you anytime. And so during that Zoom meeting, I have them show me where they're being stumped, what is, where their problem lies, and we can go back and forth and see each other's screens. So in order to help them at the end of the day, to make that long story short, when they have finally figured out through my help how to get the Prezi embedded into their blogger.com account, that makes them happy. They're successful. That's what I enjoy most. I've had a situation, I was on the NSLS team, and I was an advisor for them. And NSLS is National Society of Leadership and Success. And in that group that I was with, my job was to help them learn SMART goals. And so we went over the acronym of what SMART goals were. I've had students who didn't like working on goals. I've had students who loved working on goals. And so one of the things that I did was called them all together, and I asked them to go around the room. That usually you'd have 5 to 7 kids in your group as an advisor. And so I'd have them go around the group telling me why they think setting a SMART goal and achieving it was important. And I found out usually by the end of the meeting, all the students that were upset or didn't want to do it were encouraged by the students who did, and what they got out of that, it just made the meeting successful, because you kind of think outside the box. Other students need to grow in confidence so that they're willing to do certain things that they weren't willing to do before. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so a big part of what we do involves working with subject matter. You're able to work effectively with subject matter experts, and how would you go about acquiring information from a challenging subject matter expert?
Well, one of the first things about subject matter experts, you want to be a very good listener, and you want to have good questions. That you're not there just to ask questions. You're going there with the purpose to try to make sure that what you do for whatever project they're working on can help you the most get that done and be successful, because you want them to be happy with what you're doing and how they're involved in the situation as well. So my thing would be, I would want to go in there and ask them just straight out. So whatever the project is, so exactly what do you want me to accomplish for you? What's your design? What's your end goal for this project? How can I best help you? What are you familiar with, and what would you like to see me do for you? So getting questions that would be able to help you write down what they need and want, and what they have for the successful end result is important to me. That's what I would ask them. I would get to know them on as a personal basis as I could. Everyone doesn't want to have relationships, and that's okay, because they're there to do a job. But those that you can build those relationships with over time is worth the time to do just that. And so my main situation in that result of being with an SME is to learn what their subject is, and to make sure that I know exactly what they want. To make sure that I find out exactly what they want, what do they need in this project, and how can I make it better for them. Because they already have some ideas of what they want. They may not know how to get it in the course or in their project, But if they give you enough information, you can get that done and help them be successful, because it's about teamwork, it's about listening, and it's about communication.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So in this position, you'll be working in instructional design teams, as we mentioned before.
Yes, ma'am.
The first part of the question is, what dynamics do you feel create a successful team?
Well, teams is something that I've had a lot of experience with. Whether it's a sports team, whether it's an academic team, having a successful team means that you are coachable, you're flexible, you're willing to listen. You're going to have diversity now more than ever in relation to teams, so it's good to have a very good willingness to learn more about new cultures that you don't know about. So it's best not to assume. It's best to find out from whoever you're working with on a team, what they need, how you can help them. I believe it's important to make sure you have each other's back. Make sure that when someone is struggling, you reach out to them and you help them, no matter what. And if you can't help them, you probably know someone who can. So don't lie to them and tell them you've got it handled. Tell them, I don't know exactly what you want, but I know someone who does. Let me get you to them. So it's important to not only have connections, it's important to also be coachable, be flexible, and be willing to do whatever it takes to make that team successful. Because we're all here for one reason, is to help others be successful and help ourselves be successful to maintain a great atmosphere at TSTC.
And how would you handle a situation involving a conflicting point of view with a team member?
Well, conflicting point of views are something that happens more than we realize. And we have to always be ready for these situations, because it's very important to be a peacemaker in these situations. You need to learn how to handle someone who can spiral out of control. Sometimes they just need you to listen to them and not cuss them out, not throw temper tantrums like them. It's important to maintain control. It's important to be someone who is willing to listen, and it's very important to know how to handle these outbursts, because you just never know how someone could be. Some people's day can be very bad. You just don't know. Sometimes they just need someone to smile at them. They just need someone to be there to give them a helping hand. I just think it's important to, most of them just need someone to listen to them. Because, you never know if one of their bosses didn't listen to what they were trying to say and shot down their idea. You never know if they're having an issue at home. You never know if they got a ticket on the way to work. You just don't know the situation that could happen. But you need to be someone who's willing to listen, give them a shoulder to lean on, and just be there for them. Sometimes you don't have to do anything but listen. Sometimes you don't have to do anything but just give them a shoulder to lean on. These type of things are important, because unless you've dealt with situations like this, especially in relation to teamwork, you just never know what is going to come out in a team and from a person, because all of us are different personalities. All of us are different in how we think, and so that's why it's important to be a good team player, be someone who's willing to go that extra mile.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
All right, and I have the last question. And then we'll have an opportunity to ask us any questions or fill in any gaps you think our questions may have left. But the question is, what experience do you have with working as a part of a remote team? And do you envision any challenges with working remotely?
Well, I think you always can experience challenges. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had no electricity, I had no water, and I had no Wi-Fi. And it lasted almost a week here in Commerce for me. Well, my whole life is online because I teach 2 classes right now online, and that's how I reach my students. Well, when you have issues that come up, you have to give, like I gave my students an extra week to get that unit we were working on at the time done, because it wouldn't be fair, because a lot of them had some of the same issues I had. And when you don't have normal things that you're used to every day, you have to make arrangements to fix that situation when it doesn't work for others. You don't have to know that they had all the same problems you did, because some of them may have been in worse situations than what I was in. And so it's important to know what's going on and know how to handle that situation, to make the students or whoever you're working with to be able to have, you give them grace, you give them compassion, and I just think these traits are very important for especially anyone in academia, to get this, situations come up. So, but when it comes to LMS, it's even good to know who is, like if you're working with Canvas or eCollege or D2L, it's good to be able to know who is your LMS coordinator at the school. If you do have an issue that, maybe you put something in a certain unit and today and tomorrow it's not there, and you don't understand why. Why is it not working? Why am I having trouble with my grade book? There are so many different things that can go wrong in an LMS. Who is responsible, or who has the knowledge to help you fix what you're having trouble with? That's who you need to know well. And so I know all of my OAT team here at A&M Commerce. So when I have an issue and I can't figure it out through watching a tutorial on YouTube, because that's where I find most of my help, I call them. I have relationships with all of those people in that office, in this Office of Academic Technology at our school. And so I have relationships with them for this very reason. Not only is it important to build relationships, but you're going to run into trouble sometimes, just like you asked. And so how do I handle it? I call them. If I can't figure it out, I always try my best first to handle it. I try to learn. I may go to YouTube. I may go to Google. I may go to Google Scholar to research something. I'll try all the different tactics that I've learned through my experience. And if I can't figure it out, I call them. And 9 times out of 10, they've got the answer. But I still try to do it on my own first, so that I can learn something. And not only do I try to learn something without reaching for that help first, but now if I'm under a time crunch, that may be a different story. When I immediately have an issue and it's something's expected, say the next day, I'd call them right away. Instead of me taking too much time to try to figure it out, you just have to learn how to use your time wisely. You have to be a good time manager. You have to be a good people manager, and everything goes hand in hand with me because of my background. So thank you for asking.
Of course. And so that was our last question for you. So deep breath, right? Now it's your chance to ask us any questions that you may have for us.
Now, what do you 3 find most rewarding at TSTC?
I know we're always afraid we're going to step on each other's toes. Our student gets to talk first. So I definitely, for me, it's getting to work with the people. I think people within our teams and the faculty that we get to work with. You mentioned early in our time together today that light bulb moment, right? And so a lot of times when that happens for our faculty, or when our teams work together and we finish up a project, for me, that's the best part of the job here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was going to say, I'll let Jessica answer because we've been doing all the talking.
Right.
I'm just going to have to agree with Gina, and I think one of the things that's what I'm missing while working remotely is that interaction that I would have with faculty when I was working on campus, and being able to talk to them face to face and have them come into my office and sit down and work with them and help resolve any issues that they may have.
Well,
so building those relationships is definitely awesome.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
It's been great. I've been here for 20 years, so it's been awesome.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. Well, I guess just to touch based on what you three said, I think it's very important to build relationships. I'm a very big family guy. I love my family. Now, I'm in Commerce. Most of them are in Mesquite. They're not too far away, about an hour away. But I love family. I love family time. I love keeping that nourished. And I think the same way with this remote work, yes, it is sometimes depressing because you're not with the people that you normally used to hang out with. And those relationships just mean the world to me. I miss my faculty, I miss my friends, and at school that I used to hang out with all the time when we were there in basically a normal situation. And we really don't have that right now, even though the governor has lifted the mask issue. I think we still need to be safe and make sure we maintain social distancing and the mask. Those are important, even if you have had the vaccines. But I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to interview with you. I know I'm not the most articulate in relation to a lot of your questions that you answered, and I apologize for that. My knowledge is not as much as I want it to be, but I would love the opportunity to grow that vocabulary. I would love the opportunity to show you that I mean business if you were to allow me to be hired there. I guess another question would be, is there anything that, based on what I said or what I didn't say, that you would like to hear from me? And if not, if I don't get the job, would you be willing to let me know what I need to do to improve? Because that's the whole reason I'm having an interview. I want to improve to be better at what you guys do. And so since you guys are the experts, if there's something that you don't like about me or something you didn't like about what I said or what I didn't say, if you have the time and you would take that to help me, I would really appreciate that.
I feel like we were able to answer the questions that were asked, and so I don't feel like we need any additional information for the questions. Gina, is there anything else you can think of? I know we both have 3:00 appointments, so,
okay.
But I don't have any red flags that we're like need more on this subject matter.
Okay. Well, thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, ladies, for your time. I know how important those appointments are, so thank you for your consideration with me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Same to you.
Hey, bless you guys. Keep up the good work there.
Appreciate you. Wonderful to meet you.
It's wonderful to meet y'all. I look forward to hearing good results.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Y'all
you.
take care. God bless.
You too.
You too.